What's up, guys? It's John Muscarello from Side Hustle Experiment. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, I know a lot of you are. If you're not, thank you for watching. I am a six-figure e-commerce seller. I sell on Amazon and eBay, mostly used books and media. I am starting to get into online arbitrage and wholesale eventually for Amazon. And I'll talk about that as I progress there. But on today's video, I am going to talk about how I decided to quit my job. I get a lot of questions about this. It's a very personal decision, I will say that. This is not financial advice. I am not telling you to follow this plan. I am just going to give you some things to think about before you do. How I prepared, kind of what my situation was. It was kind of a little bit of a unique situation that I was in. I left a little earlier than I was going to, what I planned on doing. And yeah, I just kind of want to lay it out for you guys because I know a lot of people consider doing it. So I just wanted to kind of give you some things to think about and kind of how I thought about it. And yeah, so let's get into it. Before we do, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And please put in the comments, are you full-time? Are you doing this on the side? Do you want to do it full-time? I just kind of want to get an idea for kind of, you know, where you are in the journey so I could better help you. So to be honest, the decision to quit my job, I decided on a coin flip. Now, let me get into it. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but I was in a very unique situation where I was planning to leave my job at the end of the year. It would be 2019. The company that I was working for wasn't really doing that well, and I guess they started to do a little better, and there was going to be a bonus given out if we hit a certain amount of sales. I work in marketing, so I didn't really have anything to do with it, but I knew we did hit the sales goal, so I knew there was going to be about a $1,500 bonus coming my way at the end of the year. That would be paid out probably like in January. So I wouldn't have been able to leave probably to the end of January. It was all said and done. But I just really didn't like it. I just didn't like it anymore. And I was actually talking to Caleb Roth, who's been a great mentor to me in the book selling game. I was actually helping him, and I was just like, I was gonna quit my job, you know, I'm gonna wait till to get the bonus, and like, what do you think? And we were going back and forth. And a big thing to quitting my job was Caleb is like a numbers whiz. So I was fortunate enough to know him, and we kind of went over my numbers, and he was like, wow, like, you are pretty much good to go, my friend. Like, you could do this tomorrow if you wanted to. But what happened was, he said to me, I was like, I don't know if I should wait for the bonus because it kind of would be nice. But on the other hand, I don't know, like, I just kind of want to do it. I'm really unhappy there. And he said, which I've never thought about this, he basically said, hey, think in your head, should I stay for the bonus or do a coin flip? Heads, I stay, get the bonus. Tails, I leave. I put in my notice. And he's like, it doesn't matter what it flips, it's what you want it to flip. So I flipped a coin, and I wanted so bad for it to be heads so I could quit. And that's kind of what I did. I actually texted him right after I took a picture of the coin. But yeah, but prior to that, it wasn't based on a coin flip. So here's kind of the breakdown. I started in 2018. I did about 63K. I started, yeah, that was like kind of like when I just got started. 2019 was kind of when I really got rolling. I did about 90, almost 100K. I did 98.8, but after all the platforms, eBay and everything was accounted for, it was over 100. And then just in 2020, I did about 202 on the book account, and then probably 250 across everything. But so some things I was thinking about when I was going to quit. So first off, I had a 6-month emergency fund ready to go. I really ideally wanted it to be 8, but like I said, I quit early, just based on kind of intuition. I was really miserable at the job I was at. Funny, I actually gave them like 4 to 8 weeks notice because some people were leaving, and I helped fill a bunch of gaps. And then I went to a conference and I came back and they're like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. So go figure that one. But so I had 6 months. I had about $10,000 to $12,000, I don't remember, in the business account. So when I was doing it on the side, I never took any money out of the business. I just kept rolling it into the business. So that allowed me to grow much faster. And I was doing this part-time, mostly nights and mostly weekends, a little at night, but mostly weekends. I do these big sourcing trips. So I had a big cushion. I had 6 months. So like if the business did no money, I would have 6 months. I'd be fine. I wouldn't have to really worry about anything. And I feel like that's important because you don't want to quit your job and then be like, start stressing about money, because then you're gonna make a bad bunch of decisions. And number 2, having about 10 to 12 capital in the bank, that is super important because, you know, when you think about quitting your job, you're like, wow, I'm gonna have double the amount of time. This is gonna be great. I'm going to double my business and all this stuff. But that also means you have to spend twice as much more money in most cases. I know some of you could do free book pickups and stuff like that. But for the most case, if you're buying stuff, I mean, you're gonna have to allot for more money. So that was kind of what I had saved up when it came to personal savings. I mean, I had 6 months emergency account and a little extra for that, and then about $10,000 to $12,000 in the business account. And I think I was spending anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 on inventory. So there was plenty of money in there to kind of, you know, if I wanted to double or triple my spend, that would have been possible. So a couple other things. I quit, well, the idea was to quit right at the end of the year because I knew textbook season was coming, and that is very big for booksellers. So I knew I would have a lot of momentum coming in. I didn't want to quit in like July, and like, you know, that's one of the slowest months for us. So quitting in January, I knew it would be a good time to do it because I already put in a lot of hard work. I knew I would have a huge January. I think I did about 30K in that January. So that was huge, like going into it. So yeah, that was kind of like that. That was what I had. Other things I thought about, how are you going to pay yourself? So one of my like main things was I didn't want to start sucking money out of the business every month. So my initial goal was for the first 3 months, 6 months if necessary, was to take half my pay. So if I was going to pay myself, let's say $5,000, that's not the number, but I would take $2,500 out of the business account and $2,500 out of the quote unquote emergency fund, just to get rolling. And then after about 3 to 6 months, I would give all the money I took out of the emergency fund back and then be rolling. And that proved to be a really good strategy for me because it allowed me gradually. And then eventually I did like 3/4 out of the business, I think in month 4, and then in month 5 and 6, it was the whole pay, which was great. So yeah, that's kind of how I did that. And another thing to consider doing this, I would say practice. Like, it sounds so dumb, but it's one thing to say like, oh, I'm only gonna take $1,500 out a month, like big deal, like I can make that back or whatever. But until that money leaves your account or you actually take it out, you don't really feel it. Like, you think that like it's gonna be fine, but once it leaves, you definitely have a different feeling. So about 6 months before, it was actually about 4 months, I would take that half of the salary I was gonna pay myself out just to see what it felt like. I just sent it to the emergency fund, knowing that when I did quit, I would just move all that money back. And I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel that bad. Like, things are still all right. So, you know, just thinking, oh, $1,500, like once it leaves the account, like you definitely have a different mindset, and it definitely changes things for you. Another thing when it comes to practice, I took 2 weeks off. I spent all my vacation time. I did a week probably in maybe October, and then a month probably right before, maybe like July or something. And I wanted to see how many books I could get thrifting in a week, because that's the time I was gonna have now. And I didn't want to just be like, oh, when I quit my job, I could go to thrift stores every day. And yeah, double the amount of books I got. Like, is that true? So there was, I think I might have did 4-day vacation. So it'd be like Tuesday through Friday. And I would use that. I'd plan a sourcing route. I would hit that route. And both times I did it, it turned out really well. Now, I mean, if they turned out bad, would I still have quit? Probably, but I might have like waited a little longer or whatever. But it gave me more confidence to be like, you know what? Like, I did this twice, like at 2 different times. Don't do it like back-to-back weeks. Like, do it at different like times. So I knew I was pretty confident that like I could actually do what I was thinking in my head. So my goal was to basically double my sales, and kind of go from there. So a caveat to this was, you know, one thing I didn't account for, so like when I did go full time, you know, going to thrift stores every day really wasn't sustainable. Even if you're going to different areas, it's a ton of driving. You have to the rotation is not that great. So I knew I was going to be doing bulk as well. So I did account for that as well. I already had one bulk source and I was looking for another one, which I found shortly thereafter. But just know it's going to take you 2, 3, 4 months, depending on what you're doing. Maybe not so much with OA, RA, but for books, it definitely took a little bit to scale up to definitely make more. Books do take longer to sell, so definitely take that into consideration. Another thing you have to plan on is insurance. So for me, I knew I was going to do Cobra. Most businesses offer Cobra. I think you get about 4 or 5 months. So with Cobra, you pay almost a sticker price, I'm pretty sure. So like if you're used to paying like $300 for insurance, it's probably closer to $500 or $600. So I did budget for that as well. That's another thing. I had a budget. I knew how much money I spent. Every month I used mint.com for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. So I knew exactly what I was spending. I had like $200 or $300 extra built into every month for like an emergency or something that came up. So I knew exactly what I needed to make, and I had a lot of cushion in there. So I would definitely say have a lot of cushion in there if possible. So there's that. I practiced. Another huge thing for me was I live with my girlfriend. So right then and there, I have a lot less expense. We pretty much split everything down the middle. So knowing that, I mean, was definitely a big help there to quit. When you can split like living expenses with someone, it's much easier. And I mean, you could do that with a roommate. I know some people live with 2 or 3 roommates and just resell. It's whatever you want to do or whatever you feel comfortable with. So that is kind of the things that I was thinking about when I decided to quit my full-time job. It's a big decision. No one can make it for you. I learned that. You know, it just really depends on your situation, how you feel. I mean, if you like your job and you don't think you'd be comfortable leaving with just 6 months saved up, then stay 8 months, stay 10 months, stay 12 months until you have all that money saved up. That would be my advice on that front. And so I'll kind of break it down. So have a plan when you want to leave. Kind of think in your head, you know, how much money do I need? How much money do I need to be generating in this business? How far am I away from that? When do I think I could get to that number? And then start thinking about when you can quit. 2, have funds. You're gonna need funds, not just 6 months emergency fund, but also business fund. Right? You know, I went to the Turn the Page conference October. I think like right in October, that's when I got stopped working for them. So, you know, it was a little earlier than I expected, but that's okay. It worked out fine. But COVID happened right after that, guys. So, you know, if I just had like 6 months and nothing in the business account, I would have been really screwed, because I would have been freaking out that, oh my God, you know, I'm not gonna have enough money now to fund this. So you definitely have to have cash, guys, in the bank, not credit cards and stuff like that. Like, you need to really be able to sustain. So there's that. Number 3, map out exactly how you're gonna pay yourself, how much you're going to take out. Like, practice taking that out. I mean, you could always just put it back in. Number 4, I would say practice, take a week off, take 2 or 3 days off in a row. What would your day be like? What do you think you're gonna be doing? That's kind of how I did it. I said, like, listen, for these 4 days, I'm going to pretend I'm full-time. What would I be doing? How does it feel? Do I like it? Is it, do I not like it? Like, do I want to keep my full-time job and like reconsider? Did I get the amount of books I think I could get? Did I make enough money? These are some things you really have to think about. So that, I don't know if I'm 4 or 5. 5, insurance. What are you doing for insurance? Most companies, if you're working full time, you should be able to get on a COBRA plan. You'd have to talk to probably the person who manages your benefits. And if you don't, I knew I was a little skeptical about, you know, looking in or asking about it, because obviously I don't want my employer to know that I was thinking about quitting. But you could do a lot of Google. It's definitely different by the state. So I knew they at least had to give me 3 months, just from what I did Googling. So I knew I was safe there. Let me see what else I got here, just to make sure I did not forget anything. Oh, quit at a good time. You know, if you do RA, OA, you know, quitting, you know, in December, January would probably be a good time, because like hopefully you crushed it in December. And January, even though it dries up a little bit, people have gift cards, people are still spending money. February will definitely be a lot slower. Yeah, and bank on, you know, not doubling your sales right away. It's going to take you 2, 3, 4 months just to get adjusted. It's very, very different. Like, you know, you thrift on the weekends or maybe after work, and you're like, oh, it'd be so great to do this full time. And it's awesome. But, you know, maybe if you were to do it 4 days in a row, you're like, oh my God, like there's a lot of pressure to get all these books, or it's a lot of pressure to find all these items. I don't know if I'm ready to do this just yet. And that's okay. I mean, it's not for everyone to go full time. And it's also okay if you need more time to think. Like, I'm trying to think, the first time I did it, I was like, wow, I didn't think about like how much I'd be on the road, but I liked it. I was just like, wow, what happens? And ask yourself questions. Hey, what happens if I run out of places to get books? Like, ask some worst case scenario questions, because that will, and write it down on paper. So mine for, oh, what happens if I run out of places to source? Well, I could go to other states, and maybe hang out with some other resellers, maybe, you know, get a cheap hotel. And I did that. I was going to places around me. I was just doing books. I said, well, I could do OA, I could do RA. When I first started reselling, I was flipping furniture, and I was making easily what I needed to make, doing Amazon. I knew I could do that. So just know that you have options. I knew I could do some freelance marketing if for whatever reason something went awry. And I know people say, hell, you got to burn the boats and you got to go all in. That's all good and great, but you also should have somewhat of a backup plan. And that does not mean you're planning to fail. It just means you're being smart about it. And you know what? That's my perspective. You could do whatever you want. But that's kind of what I did. I had 6 months emergency fund. I had about 10 to 12K in the business bank account for capital. I knew when I was going to quit my job. What else? That's what I forgot. I was doing about 7 to 8K a month in Amazon sales. So it wasn't where I wanted it to be, but I knew I could get that up, so it wouldn't have been an issue. I talked to someone who knew numbers back and front. They analyzed my numbers. We went over everything, and like everything checked out there. So there is a bunch of stuff you guys need to consider before you even think about quitting your job. Again, please do not take this as advice, what you should do. This is what I did. They're merely suggestions. It all depends on your situation. Like, if I had a family and was doing these numbers, like I don't think I would have quit. Like, I never would have quit, because I wouldn't be making enough. But that's what I got for you today. Some things to think about when quitting your job. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you quit your job? What do you think about? What did I miss? I love hearing from you guys in the comments. I answered all of them. You could DM me on Instagram also, at Side Hustle Experiments. And please like the video, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.